Russia carried out a drone attack in the Kyiv region and struck a residential building in southern Ukraine with a missile, following days of strikes that have galvanized Western support for fortifying Ukraine's air defenses. Officials said Iranian-made kamikaze drones struck early on Thursday. Throughout the capital region, residents whose lives had resumed some normalcy when the war moved east months ago again awoke to air raid sirens. Russia intensified its bombing of civilian areas in recent weeks as its military lost ground in multiple occupied regions of Ukraine that President Vladimir Putin illegally claimed as Russian territory. Russian shelling in the southern Ukrainian city of Mykolaiv struck a 5-story building, damaging it severely. Russian Governor Vitaly Kim said an 11-year-old boy was rescued from under the rubble, where he had spent 6 hours. Ukraine's emergency services released a video showing the boy being pulled out of rubble and taken to hospital. Early morning attacks on Ukraine's southern front have become a daily occurrence in Russia's war as Kyiv's forces push a counteroffensive aimed at recapturing territory occupied by Moscow. Boots, clothes, food and even ammunition were among the objects left behind by Russian soldiers in a recently liberated area of Kherson. Ukrainian servicemen checked the trenches that had been dug and used by Russian soldiers until last week, when the region was retaken after being occupied for several months. Ukraine's Southern Command said its forces recaptured 5 settlements in the southern Kherson region on the western fringe of an arc of Russian-controlled territory in eastern and southern Ukraine. Western powers pledged to supply Ukraine with more potent air defense systems following a furious barrage of retaliatory Russian missile strikes this week. Before the bombardment of the last 3 days, Russian forces over the last month had lost ground to a Ukrainian counteroffensive in the east and south, drawing criticism from hawkish commentators in Russia. A crippled nuclear power plant in Ukraine that lost all external power for the second time in 5 days presents a very dangerous situation, according to a nuclear expert. The Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant suffered a blackout when a missile damaged an electrical substation, leading to the emergency shutdown of the plant's last remaining outside power source.
It's a very dangerous situation with the International Atomic Energy Authority saying that it's an accident waiting to happen. This is because you cannot cut power to a nuclear reactor. It is a very dangerous thing to do. The Zaporizhzhia plant is the largest nuclear station in Europe. And now for the second time in 2 days, power has been cut. Now this has important implications for the cooling of the reactor and also, very importantly, the cooling of the high-level radiation-spent fuel ponds.
Rafael Grossi, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, tweeted that external power was restored to the nuclear power plant, calling for a protection zone ASAP. All 6 of the reactors were stopped earlier due to the war, but they still require electricity to prevent them from overheating to the point of a meltdown that could cause radiation to pour from Europe's largest nuclear plant.
This is a worst-case scenario. The immediate impact would be felt very much around Ukraine, obviously, and of course Russia, depending on which way the wind blows. It's largely the main deposit is likely to be in Ukraine and or Russia, but there could be significant radiation pollution in Central Europe, which is why countries around Ukraine are now thinking very seriously about issuing stable potassium iodide tablets, which inhibit the uptake of an aspect of that pollution.
Paul Dorfman said the immediate impact of this scenario would be felt very hard around Ukraine and of course Russia, depending on which way the wind blows. He warned that this could also cause significant radiation pollution in Central Europe.